Survey shows that half of all shoppers built up credit card debt over the holidays. 37% of them say it's going to take them months to pay it all off, too. It can be a really serious problem for a lot of people. So here today with some tips on how to try to crush that debt is money and business expert Derrick Kinney. Derrick, thanks for joining us today, and you couldn't be more timely with this one.
Thank you, Jason. It is a concern I've got, and I know it affects a lot of people, so we're here to help.
Yeah, you keep seeing these headlines about, Americans holding a record amount of credit card debt. So let's just take that first step, because sometimes that can be the hardest one to take for people who have this, in their New Year's resolutions here. What is that first step in cutting your credit card debt, because it can seem so insurmountable?
Well, the first thing you want to do, again, keeping it very simple, is to write out all the debt that you owe. So it might be on a notes app on your phone, it could be in a notebook, but simply sit down with your favorite beverage, the person you love the most, and write out what we owe. And then what you want to do, Jason, is organize it by highest interest rate to lowest interest rate. And what that does, it's like an x-ray when you go to the doctor. They typically don't just prescribe medicine, they run the x-ray to then see what the situation is. That's going to tell you with eyes wide open, here's where we are right now. It may hurt to see it. I want to brace you for that, but it lets you know here is our financial reality right now and lets you know what steps to take going forward.
Okay, good first step there. Let's talk about the next thing here. How can people set those debt payoff goals? How exactly does that work? Because I think a lot of people might get seriously ambitious and then maybe get disappointed.
Well, and the key is setting the goals in the first place. So let's say that you owe $10,000 of credit card debt. Ambitious might be to say we're going to pay off $10,000 in 1 year, but let's say, to be practical, we want to pay off $2,500 this year. Well, you might say we're going to set a goal of paying off roughly $750 every quarter, and when we do that, we're going to set up some rewards for ourselves. But the bottom line is, once you write on paper, here's the plan. Once you determine the what, now it's just a matter of how to do it, and now you're unified. And what we know is, and psychologists tell us, that once you write down a goal, you're like 80% more likely to reach it just by writing it down, even if you look at it once. But this is the key to supercharging your best year financially.
I still think it's amazing that just by writing something down, we can actually make ourselves so much more likely to do something. Let's talk about balancing the budget. I think a lot of people struggle with this. Derrick, you talk about this. How do you balance a budget?
Well, let me take a fresh perspective on this, because the reality is, and most financial pundits will tell you, live on rice and beans, eat ramen noodles, you've got to sacrifice every luxury, take all the joy out of your financial life. I completely disagree, because it demotivates people. People don't want to achieve goals when they're barely able to enjoy their life. So what you want to do is ask, based on our current income right now, if we cut certain things, how much debt realistically per month could we pay off? And the question is, within your current budget, because you can't budget down to zero, you've got to live, is it going to be enough? Or, and this is the painful question to ask yourself, do you need to get a part-time job or a side gig, or go to your boss and ask a value-based question? How can I make more money by adding more value to the business? One of those three may be the solution to your debt reduction problems, but your salary alone may not do it. But if you are determined, working part-time to pay off your debt could be the best thing you could ever do.
That is interesting that you say to avoid those drastic, draconian steps, because they do tend to demoralize you and maybe keep you from ever getting to that finish line. Which brings me to my last question on this, motivation. What's the best way to try to stay motivated while you're lowering your credit card debt? Because Derrick, you're going to be making those sacrifices. Maybe you're going to hit some bumps in the road. How do you stay motivated in this?
This is a lesson I take when I drive to the gym sometimes, and I see the elementary kids on the playground. They're all having fun, not a care in the world. And what I realized is, when we were all kids, oftentimes our mom or dad or a grandparent might have incentivized us to do something hard. If you make an A in this class or do something hard, we'll give you a piece of candy, maybe some baseball cards, a special treat. And as adults, we're all really kids at heart. So what you want to do is pick out 4 things this year that you and a friend, or you and the one you love the most, want to go do. It might be, let's get a pedicure, let's go to a concert, Let's have our favorite cup of coffee together. And now you've got targets. And when we hit this goal of, in the earlier example of paying off $750 per quarter, now we're going to get a pedicure. So now we're focused on achieving the goal to then be able to celebrate, which keeps you motivated. The one fine print here, Jason, always pay cash for the treats and don't put the treats on the credit card.
Very smart. Yeah, you don't want to add to the mountain that's already on there. Derrick, I like the way you think. I think we should probably take more lessons from those kids running around on the elementary school playground. I think we'd be so much better off as adults.
Oh, we sure would. We sure would. Those self-limiting beliefs would go out the window.
Derrick, thanks so much for kind of walking through this with us. I know it's a real struggle for a lot of people. We really appreciate it. Derrick Kinney, CEO of Good Money Framework. Thanks as always for being with us today.
Thank you, Jason.
All right.